Hey, folks, it's here. It's Triple Witch expiration, the last one of the year. It only happens 4 times a year. We'll dig into the details on that, imbalances, trading ideas, what to expect on the open and the close. We got some earnings. Nike running out of room here on the downside. KB Home's not doing well. Oracle gets a pop. Folks, we got a lot to cover on today's pre-market prep, and we got a special guest for you. You guys are going to be fired up for this pre-market prep.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. This is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
All right, we're basically flat here. Little weakness overnight, but we came back. We're unch. We don't know what to do ahead of the PCE at 8:30. Forgot to mention that. The buck working its way back up 26 cents, 98.35. TLT. Don't tell TLT that rates are going down. Down 79 cents, 87.43. USO trying to bounce back off that recent low, up 52 cents, 67.71. Gold and silver going in opposite directions. Gold down 52 cents, 398.05. SLV up 28 cents at 59.64. And Bitcoin, someone picked out a sneaky move in Bitcoin after hours yesterday, up $3,300 at 88,115. These charts are brought to you by TradeStation, born to trade. That's right. Chart, analyze, customize, all-in-one program. One platform. We're going to be making use of that TradeStation platform and its many uses in the new year. Who do we got lurking in the background? Triple D. It's another expiration for us.
I know there's a lot going on here today. We've got Nike earnings and FedEx earnings and KB Homes earnings. And then, we have Oracle news, TikTok news. But the big news and the big movements of the day might be the quarterly rebalance and options expiration, which we're going to get to in a second. We'll break down, how we're going to approach the trading at the open and at the close. But before then, we do have a special guest to come in, Joel, here. Let's bring him in. It's the Brentster. We're making him full screen. Look, there he is. He's back. He's back. He's back. The Brentster. How was the vacation?
Vacation was awesome, but I did miss you guys and gals.
We missed you too, Brentster. We always miss you. So, Brentster, you got to tell us a little bit. Like, I've never been over there. How is Egypt? Like, what's it all about?
Oh, man, Egypt is amazing. My second time to Egypt, I went in December of last year. And first thing, just like Egyptian people are absolutely amazing. Insane hospitality. Everybody is looking out for you. Wow.
It'll be worth the YouTube fine.
Oh, we're going to get the fine.
It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it for sure.
I love Steve Martin, but we love the Brentster more. So, okay, you have to tell us a little bit about it. Like, tell us, give us 2 minutes, summary of the trip, and then we're getting into the trade.
Okay, 2 minutes. Went to, I think, 16 ancient sites. We started in Cairo. We went to Giza. We saw the Sphinx. We walked around Giza for a while. Then we flew south to a city called Luxor. There's Luxor Temple there. There's Karnak Temple there.
Wow.
Then you can get on from Luxor. There's this thing in Egypt. It makes a lot of sense, but Americans, I think, aren't used to it. You can get on a big Nile River cruise boat, and you cruise down the Nile. So we cruised from Luxor to the city called Aswan, which is where the ancient people got all of their rose granite. They went to this quarry. They pulled out these huge pieces of rock. They shipped them literally almost 1,000 miles, like 700 miles north to Giza, north to Luxor. Bunch of sites down there. We had like an added side quest. You could go to this place called Abu Simbel, which is way down in the south of Egypt, almost to Sudan. So I literally toured from the north in Cairo to the very south of Egypt. Again, we went to like 15, 16 ancient sites. We had a bunch of special permissions. I got to go up to the Sphinx. I got to touch the Sphinx. I got
That's cool.
stand in front of there's like this famous piece of rock in front of the Sphinx that Tutmosis II said he got a vision from the Sphinx, and if he could uncover the Sphinx and dig the sand out of the Sphinx, then he would be the greatest pharaoh of all time in Egypt.
Wow.
Stand in front of this thing. It's called the Dream Stela. I got to go under Giza. We went down like 200 feet under Giza to this one tomb. It's like a rumor that Osiris was buried there.
So much history.
So much history. It's
Really cool.
it's like the United States, has been a nation for 200 years, 300 years, right? Almost
Yeah.
200 years
Yeah.
next year.
Nothing.
250 years. Egypt was the most robust civilization for like almost 3,000 years.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. So like, their development, how they developed and stuff like that, it's just that they had so much time to, do some really impressive things, and that's the culture. The culture is like really impressive. The modern day culture is like really impressive. The ancient culture is really impressive. And the tour that I was on, and I'm going to get crazy with you guys for a sec here. The tour that I was on was looking to find an even more ancient culture than the ancient Egyptians that we know are out there, like the dynastic Egyptians, because
Wow.
funny stuff going on in Egypt. There was some funny stuff going on in ancient Egypt. It seemed like there was much, much, much more advanced technology and civilization than we give the dynastic Egyptians credit to. And like one day in the next couple weeks, maybe I'll do a little deep dive presentation in STN.
We expect this. We want to know
Thought so.
how they built those pyramids without a caterpillar.
They
How
did
they
not.
built those pyramids with just manpower. That much big machine.
Maybe.
It's crazy.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I have picture evidence of the results of advanced technology that we don't think the dynastic people had. It seems like, for example, we went all over Egypt and we were seeing like saw marks. Like it seems like they had like power saws or something like that. It's crazy.
Maybe they did have a caterpillar.
Maybe they did have a caterpillar, Dennis.
They were the first inventors. The cat.
Maybe they did.
Wow.
But that was a good little rundown, maybe. But really, I'm glad to be back. I just got back a couple days ago. Needed yesterday to kind of acclimate myself back to the Michigan weather and the Detroit weather and all this snow. But I'm feeling good, excited to be back, and excited to be talking about the stock market with everyone.
Awesome,
How was the food?
Friendster.
How was the food?
The food, I love the food. I feel like in being from Michigan, being from Detroit, I have a little bit of an advantage because
Yeah.
we do eat a lot of the food that they already eat. A lot of like tahini and eggplant and like falafel, stuff that we have a lot of in Detroit.
Coney dogs?
No coney dogs. I gotta go get a coney dog though. I do gotta go get a coney dog. That sounds great, actually, Joel.
It does sound good. I could eat a coney dog right now. That does sound great. Okay, so let's get back into this stock market routine. We love having the Brentster back, our main news man, dig in, and he'll keep digging and watching the news wires as well. But we've got some major movements going to happen today. Lots of news last night, and we will get to Oracle, but I just want to quickly touch on the major movement today is going to be the quarterly rebalance at the close. And also, it's options expiration. So you already have probably a lot of, institutions that are going to be doing some major buying and selling, not only at the close, but also at the open. We look at imbalances already. I can already see ExxonMobil 1.5 million to sell, NEE 1.4 million to buy. These will change because it's a moving target, but we're already seeing big imbalances come in. At New York Stock Exchange, if you don't know the imbalances, they post at 8 a.m. Imbalances basically is orders that are geared for the open. They're marked for the open, and they don't execute until 9:30. So when you see something like 1.5 million to sell on ExxonMobil, that's telling you there's 1.5 million more shares. That's not dollars. That's shares to sell based on the closing print. They're based around the closing print. So NYSE starts releasing this information at 8 a.m. in the morning. NASDAQ doesn't come out till 9:25. So they do theirs a little bit different. So you do kind of like, in the dark until 9:25 on the NASDAQ. That's why a lot of times when you see stocks suddenly move at 9:25, it's often because we've got some imbalance information from those NASDAQ stocks. Now, the rebalance is a completely different thing. S&Ps NDX does their quarterly rebalance here, and that is tonight. So what we have is, a lot of stocks that are, obviously some getting added, some getting deleted, but more so just, changes in weight. So as, stocks are moved up in market cap, they might be added weight. There can be decreasing weight. Our good friend from T3, David Prince, posted a fantastic chart here. If you follow him, I didn't have it ready. I should show that. Talk for a second, Joel. I'll go find David Prince.
Yeah. I just wanted just to put things in order. Today, some call it quad witch, some call it triple witch. The reason the term was expanded to quad witch is they tried to get single stock futures going several years ago. A man named Jerry Parker is the last person. He's a big CTA. I remember he traded them. But basically, there's no liquidity. I don't think they've been traded since 2020. So what triple witch refers to, it only happens 4 times a year. It happens in March, June, September, and December. And it's a simultaneous expiration of 3 types of financial derivative contracts. And this is typically you get an increase in trading volume, an increase in market volatility. And because of that, you call it the witching hour. Now, the components that are expiring are stock options, right? For individual stocks or ETF funds, stock index options based on indexes like the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ, and then also stock index futures. So they're all these December contracts. They all are simultaneously expiring today. And a lot of times what this is, a lot of times a week and a half before you see some, really janky movement in the market as some people prepare early for the expiration.
Yep.
But these orders have to be in on the mark. And I don't understand why they do it, but they have to do it based on their indexes. So this happened 4 times a year. It's sometimes there's some real fireworks. You have the SPY going ex-dividend here, but it's a fun day, and we should get some volatility after really kind of been just a choppy, gone nowhere this week. So just wanted to give that explanation here of the triple witch.
We've got a couple up there just, to give you an idea here. There's going to be a lot more than this as well. And I know additions in there, AVGO is a big one. So I'd expect some movement in AVGO at the close. Also, Lululemon is a delete. We got STX and WDC on ads. And then this is from David Prince again. Thank you, David. Just showing you some different ones like Palantir up weight. You can see notional principal to buy. It's big bucks. So you can see some big bucks going to be coming in. Carvana. These are the stocks that are going to move. So there's a number of ways to play this. In the old days, we used to actually get ahead of it and say, oh, if there's a huge, addition coming in, the stocks are likely to move up into that. So you basically get ahead of it, buy it, and then, as it's moving up and you sell into that strength. What has happened over the years, because the information is so well known and so widely disseminated, is that sometimes these trades get crowded, where you can actually see an addition, but people are already in and speculating, actually sell off near the close. So the safer way, and the safer way that I approach it now, is simply to fade any closing gap. So if you get like Palantir gapping up $2 in the close, I'd be shorting into that gap. If another stock maybe gapping down, maybe Biogen or Lululemon gap down on the close, I would be buying into that. So, and I use the different order types. I use limit on close or LOC. It depends on your trading platform what those orders are closed, but that's how I approach it. And I will be doing these trades live on Stock Trader Network in the STN room tonight. So, if you aren't a subscriber, maybe you want to check it out tonight. But, that's kind of the approach. The approach is the fade trade. I love my fade trade. That's kind of how I approach it. When we get CC Lagator on here in 20 minutes, we'll ask him a little bit more.
CC lost his power, buddy.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah. There's 100-mile-an-hour winds. 100-mile-an-hour winds in XL Energy. Yeah, I said to you at text this morning, XL Energy, they're doing rolling blackouts to prevent fires.
No.
Yeah, that's why I asked Kenny to come on. Let me see if I heard from Kenny.
Okay.
In
any regard here, he needs a Generac, and that's actually a good segue into one of our upgrades. The Generac was upgraded today, but we won't go there yet. But keep in mind, just for the options, we're going to come back to this later on in the show. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the mechanics, but we have a lot of news to cover here too. And I don't want to get too technical and confused. Our longer term listeners probably don't care about a lot of this stuff, but our longer term listeners do care about Oracle, because this stock is the stock of the morning, I would say. I mean, Nike is, you could say Nike, but Oracle's was moving the entire tech sector last night. Oracle finally having a day. Multiple headlines here, Brentster. If you've got them here, come on in and Oracle, because we got TikTok headlines. We had OpenAI valuation. We got the Brentster on mute. He's coming off mute now. What are your thoughts here, or what was the news here on Oracle?
Yeah, you said them, Dennis. So we had the OpenAI hearing valued at $850 billion, almost a $1 billion valuation. And then I think around just before 5:30 p.m. last night Eastern time, TikTok has signed a deal to sell its U.S. entity to a joint venture controlled by American investors. I think who is mentioned in that? BitDance is going to have a stake. Also, Silver Lake is going to have a stake. MGX, which is a Abu Dhabi-based firm, is also going to have a stake. Kind of leaky here, though, this morning, at least a little bit earlier, right?
Yeah, we were up more on Oracle last night. We hit 192. We have leaked away some of the gains, and we've been seeing this, Spencer. I know you've been away for a couple of weeks, but what has been the story really has been the fade trade. We've seen stocks rip it up, and they are selling rips just across the board. Stocks are having a hard time holding the gains. Now, not so much the SPY, it's very diversified, but a lot of the tech darlings, the darlings from the last year, really, a lot of those stocks have positive headlines, and then they seem to just fade back. Oracle has had a hell of a time. It has been a stock that's just been struggling and struggling and struggling. They're worried about the debt. They keep talking about their balance sheet, that they're taking on a lot of debt to fund all this data center build, and the market's a little bit scared, and they're worried that Oracle's taking on too much. So today we get a little bit of a relief pop. I do think the initial headline with OpenAI was valued at $750 billion. It felt like they were saying the valuation. Now they're saying the new round of funding is going to value at $850 billion. I mean, we have seen a lot of these OpenAI stocks, like the AI stocks bubble come out. Apparently not in the private market, because it just continues to go straight up here. So, argue with the valuation, or don't argue with the valuation. I think a lot of stocks that are in the AI trade liked hearing that OpenAI valuation might even be higher. So I think that was a little bit of a catalyst last night to kickstart the rally. We have a lot of stocks in the data center plays that are all moving higher here this morning. CoreWeave, which also has its own headline. You can give it in a second. NBIS up, Iron up, CORZ, which CoreWeave was trying to buy at one time. Or no, was it CoreWeave trying to buy them?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
CORZ, and then that didn't go through. CORZ rejected it. They might be regretting that reject because it's down at $15 here now. But talk to us about the CoreWeave. It had its own headline as well, Brentster.
Yeah, so CoreWeave announcing that it joined the Department of Energy's Genesis mission to advance U.S. research and innovation. Obviously, this is going to be surrounding AI, supercomputing platforms, et cetera, stock moving higher. It seems like more so, I would say, on this news item, we saw this price action start actually a little bit after the press release came out. Press release came out around 5:30 last night. We didn't start seeing price action until maybe like 5 or 10 minutes after that.
Yeah. Joel's going to break down quick
Yeah.
technicals. Go back to Oracle, do the technicals there. We're going to go through all these. Oracle, CoreWeave, and NBIS and Iron. All four. Because those are stocks that are widely traded. I want to hear the technicals on all of them.
Okay.
So, technical.
All right. Got them one time.
30 seconds each.
In the order that you want them. I will say
Oracle is up on the screen. Just do Oracle right now.
Oracle, you know what? We're forming a base here, and we talked about this the other day. It's so hard to pinpoint one number in a $200 stock, but there's definitely some institutional interest here between 180 and 185. And they're building their position. And look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lows. And it did get under 180. So there's some interest. Are they going to step up to 185 now? I don't know. But I like the base that it's building here. Could be ready for a turn. Pre-market high is over 192. So let's see here. 50-day way up there, 213. Then you wanted to do CoreWeave. Boy, that thing made a new low of the move yesterday. Up $4. I mean, with these kind of things, do they hold the gain early?
That's the question.
Right? Do they hold the gate? Do they come out of the gate in their bid? We will see with this one. A couple quiet ranges here in CoreWeave. Let me see. Pair highs. I mean, if this thing stays over $70, well, we definitely got some room on the upside. And then you said, what was the next one? NBIS.
Let's go to NBIS, which
Looking
I have
perky.
I sold half of it yesterday, and I held half the position because I'm just uncertain here. So, I just put it on 3 days ago at 81, and I lightened it up yesterday here a bit. It's right at the same price here now at 81 again, but I got some uncertainty here with this. I don't know where this trade is going. It's a tricky market, but give me some technicals. Tell me what I should do with my other
If you
half
want
size.
it, no, hold on, man. Put your stop in there. Don't worry about it.
Stop out the low of the move.
Yeah, or even a little bit more than that. But for this one, for sure, I don't know what the imbalances are going to be. But if this is going to be a good day for NBIS, it's right above yesterday's high. It's going to open up bid there, 80.35, maybe make an 80 low. And then I think you got some room up to 84.30. I think just on the way the market dynamics are, if you do open up higher and you start to leak, if you want to try and pick it up at sub 80, 78.09 was yesterday's close. And then who's the fourth character in this?
Iron?
IREN, which has just been death by 1,000 cuts. This stock has just slowly climbed down the mountain. It was $76 at the beginning of November. Here we are 5 weeks later. The stock has had more than a 2-for-1 stock split, down to 35, and it just doesn't seem to hold any rally at all. But is this life? Do we have life here? Do we have a base? Do we have hope that just maybe IREN has bottomed?
And I have a definitive answer. If we can establish a 37 bid, yes, you have 3 highs surrounding that area. You're still below yesterday's high. Show me a 37 bid, and you got some room on the upside here for IREN. If you start to peel back, always looking at the closing price, the 35.80 for IREN.
Kind of related in this sector to Wi-Fi, WYFI. They had news last night independent of all this. So there's a lot of news here in these tech stocks. White fiber has been a horrible story here too. $40 a share in October. It is $14 it closed at, but it's getting a pop here, Brentster. What's the news overnight?
White Fiber and Nscale announced 10-year, 40-megawatt co-location deal representing $865 million in total contract value. Interestingly, and we use these little clues, folks. We use these little clues to give us some color. White Fiber looks like actually it did start moving right at 4:30 when this press release hit. So we can see that the stock is moving right at 4:30. I think it's pretty safe that we attribute a lot of the upside in white fiber here to this news item. And this is actually like one of your biggest winners for the day. I see it trading up about 20% here right now.
Big pop again. What we have seen happen is we get a decent headline in any of these stocks. They pop, then they fizzle out. I don't know if that's going to be the play here again, so I'm asking Joel on this one too.
Yeah.
WYFI, quick technical on this one.
Yeah, same thing. You got the pop to 18.20, and then you've kind of pulled back. You've pulled back a buck off that. This is the bar that you want to focus on moving forward here. And that bar comes from last Monday, where you basically opened up flat and tanked over $3, closed near the low of the day at 15.20, 15.24. The low is 15.18. Went lower 3 days in a row, and now you're back up. What are people going to do in this bar? If you can hold a 17 bid, does this have the gas to get to 18.65? Hasn't been the trend as of late, but man, these things are so beat up. Maybe people look at this as a bargain. First things first, take out that pre-market high.
Okay. The storied earnings stock of the night is going to be Nike. And it has been a slow, steady leak here, and they have been tariffed. They are blaming tariffs. I talked about it on the call. The earnings themselves, Brentster, break them down. They weren't that bad, but the guidance wasn't that good, and tariffs is a major issue here.
I think the report was pretty good. They reported Q2 earnings 53 cents. That was a beat versus a 38-cent estimate. Sales also beating rather nicely, 12.43 billion, let's call it, versus a 12.22 billion estimate. some commentary from the company's president and CEO. Fiscal 26 continues to be a year of taking action, including realigning our teams, strengthening partner relationships, rebalancing our portfolio, and winning on the ground. We're finding our rhythm is in our new sport offense and setting ourselves up for the next phase of our athlete-centered innovation. If you ask me, besides concerns with tariffs, that commentary is just, I wouldn't even call it conservative. I would just call it kind of downright cautious.
Yeah, and they don't want to hear that, So this stock was leaking, and then they started the call, and they said nothing good in the call, and it lost another $3. You have analysts coming out here, and you know what they do. They chase price. We talk about it all the time. Price target lowered at Stifel. Price target lowered at BofA. Price target lowered at Barclays. Price target lowered at Wells Fargo. Price target lowered at Bernstein. Price target lowered at Truist. BTIG reiterates their buy. So the only ones holding out and saying BTIG says buy the dip. But other than that, it's ugly here in Nike land. Also, peers plays. Obviously, you can think about Dex, DKS down $3. Deckers, DCK is trading down here. On, Crocs. Even Lululemon is trading down here, which Lululemon, I think, is probably a buy on the dip because Elliott is in there now. So it kind of gives you a floor. But that's been, not great news here in retail land. Joel, technicals on Nike because we got PCE coming up in a few minutes.
Way over the expected move. I'm not selling it down 11.5%, 763, 764. This is beyond the low of the move, folks. This is beyond the low of the move by about $3 here. So I'd say resistance at that psychological $60 level. If you feel like you have to own it today, they're going to be hitting some bids. I think next monthly low comes in at 59.19, then 56.26. If you see the 56.26, I may even buy a few shares here. That's $1.60. That's $1.60 away. It's not happening.
I'm staying away. I'm staying away at this point in time. China sales were down 17%.
Oy, oy, oy.
I know. Those aren't tariffed. So a tariff for USA sales in which China that is not buying anything over there right now.
Who's their athlete? Who's their stud athlete? We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, we went into this. It may be an issue as well. So there's just a plethora of issues there. But we only got 1 minute. Brentster, if you have a PCE preview here, let's go.
Sure.
Because in 1 minute here, we're going to get some inflation data.
We're expecting so we're looking for core PCE last report for, so the report we're getting for today is October. So the last report for September was up 0.2% on a year-over-year basis. That last reading was up 2.8%. Let me see. I don't really have good estimates here. We also are going to get personal income and personal spending for the month of October. So just a warning. We are in December, of course. This is the October reading, so this is a pretty delayed reading. We got about 30 seconds here. Is the market going to be putting a hell of a lot of stock into this 2-month, let's call it, delayed data point? I don't really think so, but we definitely want to be tuning in and just make sure this is on our radar.
I mean, PCE as well, obviously, isn't going to be as influential as CPI was yesterday, which really kickstarted the IWM rally. Although we did fizzle out at the end of the day there too. So here we go. PCE, we'll get you those numbers. I don't think it's going to be a big mover.
Okay, we're resting right around mid-range on the session. That overnight low at 68.20, that was the low in the after hours as well. Floated up to 54.25, big level of 68.70 on the upside. It's being disseminated around the world. People with the high freak algos are getting it right now, and
there is not much happening here.
Oh, I don't have the number yet. It looks like we were a little delayed. Weren't we delayed on CPI yesterday?
Yes,
a little bit. Yeah, it looks like we're a little delayed here on PCE. I'm still standing by, and the market doesn't really look like it's responding. So maybe this is a little.
Get in there, Triple T. Get in there. Shake them up.
There's no movement here whatsoever. So were we just not?
Did they do it?
Come out?
I don't know if it came out
CNBC
yet.
is not reporting anything yet either. So.
Yeah, I do not.
Whoa, wait.
Cool.
It was 8:30, right?
It was 8:30. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
It was
Well, we're
8:30.
waiting. We'll get that numbers to you as soon as we can, but we don't see much here at all right now.
Oh, actually,
Back.
Paul Revere is at my door, and he has the data. No, I'm just joking.
Okay. The other two major earnings from last night, I'm going to go FedEx first. Used to be the bellwether for the economy. When FedEx missed earnings, means nobody's buying anything. But we know Amazon now does all their own deliveries, and FedEx isn't as much of a bellwether as it used to be. The stock had been running and running and running into earnings, so the bar was actually quite high here. It was $220 back in October. We've been talking about the value trade coming back, and that has been very much shown up in the FedEx chart, being all the way up back up to $287. They come out with the numbers, Brentster, and they were pretty decent, but maybe that bar was just a little bit too high.
Yeah, numbers were strong. They reported 482. They beat by almost 70 cents. 411 was the estimate. Sales coming in 23.5 billion. Analysts were under 23. They also raised their guidance. They raised their 2026 adjusted earnings guidance. Not a ton, but they did raise the low end. Previous range was 17.20 to $19. Now they are expecting 17.80 to $19. So they raised the lower end by about 16 cents. Analysts are around 18.22. So recap here, looks like a solid report. They raised guidance, but the stock a little bit lower here this morning.
It popped, and then it's been a steady leak. And now we're down $8 here. Not looking pretty. Again, the bar may be a little bit too high, but keep in mind the value market has been a little bit coming back here, so there could be some buy the dippers lurking.
Yeah, I think the expected move was $16 on this, so we haven't got a lot of action. Let me get a longer term chart here. It's just a big run into the report, and you did get the pop, the high of the move. It took out the high of the move by like $10-12 and then fell apart. I'm not sure. I don't see any really good support. Where are these lows? There's 3 lows at the 375 area. If in fact, if you want to look for a number a little bit lower, but I mean, look at this move that you had. You were 225, and then you got close to 300. I think if you want this one, maybe today, sit out a little bit, let it breathe. Looks like you got a turn here in FDX. I'm not sure how UPS is trading off this. UPS has been slow and steady, but a horrible
Value
long
market
took
coming
a
back.
chart too.
Yeah. I mean, overall, these stocks are ugly. Look at the bottom right chart. You're like, what rally? But the recent, move up here from $84 to $101 is a significant move. So you can clearly see the difference, where a lot of those momentum names started selling off in October, November. That's when the value names really gained steam. So it wasn't like a total market sell-off. It was simply a rotation from high PE to low PE. And that continues to be the case. We've seen low PE getting bought on dips. So keep that in mind when trading these stocks. KB Homes, which is a low PE stock, they reported earnings last night as well. Been a steady leak there too, almost at the expected move. Brentster, how did they do?
Hey, real quick, I just want to give a little update on PCE. I'm on the Bureau of Economic Analysis. This is a U.S. government website. It says that the last release we got is for September, and it says that we're going to get an update of July, August, and September data on December 23rd. That is Tuesday. So
So they
I
moved
don't.
it.
So yeah, they moved it. I don't know when this move happened. And also, the important part about this is they said they're going to update for July, August, and September data on Tuesday. No mention of October, which is what the number that I think a lot of people were expecting today. Are we
Yeah.
going to get the October number? I don't know. Maybe I have to dig a little bit more. But
I see the rescheduling now.
okay.
So it was rescheduled there. And yeah.
Shot.
So the original schedule was for 8:30 this morning, and
Yep.
they did move it to Tuesday. So thank you. Somebody in the chat page.
Yep, Red Bull Max. Shout out to Red Bull Max. Thank you for that, Red Bull Max. Good info. We'll get over to KB Homes here reporting Q4 adjusted earnings 192, a beat of 12 cents. Sales just under 1.7 billion. Analysts were looking for about 1.66 billion. They are expecting Q1 housing sales around $1 billion, just over $1 billion. They are expecting 2026 housing sales in the range of $5 billion to $6 billion. There's your KB report, folks.
Initial spike took it down to 58.10, and you have the 200-day at 58.72. That's another $1.30 away. I think that's probably where the big money is standing out. You got a triple bottom just under 58, so that would be the ultimate area here. Of course, if you start to hold the bid a little bit earlier, they're not going to get there. The bottom of yesterday's range is 61.89. And these hole builders will shake and bake you. They'll be up to, I mean, as you can see, you had a pop and a drop and stuff, so, if you're stuck on the long side, there's going to be some kind of pop in here. Probably, pair of lows at 61.90. So that would be resistance. I mean, it just might be just like real quick off the open, boom, right up to 62 and then fall back again. But, Toll Brothers, that kind of set the tone. I mean,
Lennar.
Yeah, this is not. Yeah, the toll chart looks a hell of a lot better than the Lennar.
The Lennar one's ugly.
Yeah, Lennar is ugly. I don't know what's going on. I mean, a rate's going to do it. I don't know. Overall, if you want to look for some negative signs, in the markets, I would say it's these stocks in the housing markets because this fuels a lot of different sectors and a lot of different companies and stuff. So if you're looking for a little bit of reason for skepticism in the market, I'd say it comes from these home builders.
Winnebago, going to go to this morning here. CCL comes out usually it's after 9 o'clock, so we may miss that on the show. They're always late, sometimes as late as 9:15.
Oh, Triple D, 28.64.
What?
28.64 in CCL.
Oh, if I was still in it, but I'm out now. So
okay.
I played it last night and sold out. I got out at 28.5, so I did get out pretty deep.
Okay.
We were just doing the earnings run up trades. I don't think it's out yet though. It's not out yet, is it?
No, not out yet.
Yeah, usually 9:15, 9 or 9:15, somewhere in there. But WGO is out, and Winnebago is having a pretty good morning here, actually. So everybody going out there and buying their Winnebagos apparently last quarter. Brent,
apparently they did really well. It seems like Q1 adjusted earnings 38 cents. Analysts were looking for just 13 cents. Sales over 700 million. Analysts were looking for under 630 million. So this is a really nice report. And guess what? They raised their guidance. Not a huge raise. They raised it by 10 cents. They were previously at 2 to 270 for earnings. Now they're at 210 to 280. And it's kind of like, well, does anyone really care about Winnebago? Maybe not. But if we're in the current environment where we're sort of uncertain about the consumer a little bit, just uncertainty, and then we have a report like Winnebago blowing out the estimates and raising their guidance. I mean, at the least, maybe you don't care about Winnebago itself, but I think maybe you care about what this could mean for the strength of the consumer.
True. And maybe it's just a matter of its own thing. Like, I don't know. There's like definitely we've been saying this is a economy that isn't showing signs of like consumer stress as much as some of these other areas here. So like we can say recently we've had the momentum sell-off and stuff, but airlines have been flying, people are doing stuff. I was in Vegas, seemed pretty darn busy to me. People say Vegas is dead. Didn't seem that dead to me. People still buying Winnebagos. That's not like a item that's a necessity at all. So if they're doing good, the economy's still humming along.
How about people can't afford homes and so they're just moving into Winnebagos?
Joel comes up with a fair thesis. He finds a way. He finds a way. When they're selling their homes, they're moving into Winnebagos. That's the way. Joel, you are good.
A couple things here. I wish we were trading this one in the pre-market because you had a triple monthly top. I made the monthly chart better. Look at that, a triple monthly top at 42, and it just jettisoned through that. And now you're right back at another monthly level. So I don't know if you're going to get a chance to buy this back at 42. But your next monthly high right here is at 47.64. We're trading over $48. So I think that probably is over the expected move. And every once in a while I throw in like the old there was some kind of camp thing that we were invited to, and it's a I don't know thing. And I'm like, well, Lisa, how about we sign up for it and we go, but we don't stay in the cabins. We rent a Winnebago and we go there and we park outside. And she gives me the answer that she always gives me.
What's that?
No, we're not renting a Winnebago. I don't want to be driving with you in a Winnebago.
Could you
What?
imagine Joel driving down the road in a Winnebago?
Yeah.
Are you
Woo!
are you
Clear
like
the
a no,
roads, man.
are you
Clear the
like a
roads.
notoriously bad driver, Joel?
He's a
No,
good
I'd say
driver. He's a
aggressive.
good driver.
You
But
drove
aggressive.
drove with me all the way to Canada
I thought it was fine. I thought
before
you
I
were
got almost
focused
thrown
on
in
the
the
road.
slammer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Canadian customs are a little bit tough on you, but yeah.
No. But anyways, there's a look at Winnebago. If your target was that monthly high back at 47.54, it's staring you right in the face.
Jumping back over, I just want to do a couple ratings here because it was two big ones here today. I'm going to skip the rest of the earnings here. I
Okay.
want to talk Lyft. This is probably your biggest ratings of the day. It's a bold call. It's something I feel like I could have wrote this note. It's something that I've been talking about on Lyft, although I've been very early because Lyft continues to go higher. So I don't know, maybe now is the time. But Wedbush downgrading Lyft on autonomous vehicle disruption risk. And this is what I've been talking about. So if we go into the Wedbush note here, Scott Devitt, we know Scott very well, comes on the show, is downgrading Lyft from neutral to underperform, price target $16. Analyst comments, I'm just going to read them from you. In our view, Lyft is most at risk to the impact of AV disruption given the company's exposure to the US ride-sharing market and undiversified offering mix. While the company could carve out a specialized focus in the AV ecosystem, we think AV operators will opt for more 1P distribution. As a result, we believe the market is underestimating the negative terminal value impact that AVs may have on Lyft's DCF value. We also highlight that absent of the recent acquisitions, investor confidence in the company's ability to reach their investor day targets has diminished, with expectations for core business gross bookings implying a CAGR of 12.6% between 24 and 27. That's 240 basis points below the company's target of 15%. So Lyft, he's saying, is not looking very good. And he's saying autonomous vehicles are going to disrupt their business. I truly believe this. I've been saying I think it could happen with Uber too, but Uber's, carving out relationships with Waymo, relationships potentially, elsewhere as well, where Lyft isn't going to have it as easy. And I also believe that, everybody says, oh, well, they'll just, do a deal with Tesla. Why does Elon Musk need to do a deal with Lyft? Why? So you got to ask yourself that question there too. Will they do a deal with Uber? More likely do a deal with Uber than Lyft. Lyft could be the odd man out here.
Yeah.
I completely agree with this note, although I've been bearish Lyft all year and it's only went up. So I think I've been too early on this trade.
Pair of lows here at the $19 area at 19.25. So, and even a low at 18.61. So just under 19. I think you find some buyers here. Get a little pop. Uber, Scott has been negative on this stock on this show over the last few months, and that has continued to leak here. Trading up 21 cents. I mean, nothing good happens below the 200-day, right? And that's where we're at here in Uber. China. I mean, if this thing cannot establish a bid over 80, boy, oh boy, not looking good. A lot of room on the downside if you don't establish an 80 bid here soon. In
autonomous vehicles are not good for either of these companies. Like Uber may be able to come in and make relationships with Waymo and maybe eventually Tesla and maybe some of the others. But as the technology continues to expand, Rivian, we're talking about Rivian. I bought Rivian, as an autonomous play. I mean, we got Ford, GM, you've got these companies. If the bloody cars are driving themselves, it's not that hard to if you can create. So this is why they need Uber's app. If you can make a car drive it by itself, you can sure as hell create an app to put people together to order your car. So I'll tell you that much. Tesla does not need Uber. So people have been saying that, Tesla needs Uber because they need the infrastructure and they need the app, so we can bring the riders and the drivers together, and the cars obviously drive themselves. They don't need that, so I don't think Tesla needs anyone. If Tesla does figure it out, and, the stock is telling us it's going to figure it out because the stock is right near all-time highs. I mean, I don't think they need either of these companies. And I do believe there's an inverse correlation now with Uber and Tesla. So if you look recently, Tesla all-time highs, hit it 2 days ago. Uber in the gutter. Lyft really the odd man out here, though, to Scott Devitt's note, which was excellent, by the way, saying that, hey, Uber probably can get some relationships here, but can Lyft. So there's lots of things to be concerned here. Does it matter in the short run? Well, in the short run, stocks can do anything. But I think longer run here, I wouldn't invest in Lyft or Uber.
All right.
Quiet here.
Quiet market here ahead of the expiration. People are just hanging out at mid-range after that overnight rally, but we'll still see. The fireworks are yet to come.
Yeah. Okay. So the other rating of the day, which I found interesting here, was GNRC. And GNRC has been in the absolute gutter. We actually mentioned this stock yesterday, how beat up it was. Maybe Wells Fargo's listening to the show because they're coming out with a value call here. They are upgrading Generac, raising the price target up to $195. The stock is currently only 141, 136 at the close. They see the recent pullback and accelerating growth outlook for diesel gensets as backup power for AI data centers. So, that's interesting. Backup power for AI data centers. That's what you put in a note, to get people interested in it again. I mean, the valuation is not crazy here. I don't know if they jump into valuation at all. Estimate 12 billion annual TAM. If Generac captures 10%, it could be worth $61 just on that portion of it. And if you're going and look, Generac was running ahead of hurricane season. Then let's be honest. We didn't get any hurricanes. I know Jamaica got hit, but there was no hurricanes basically, in the US. And this has come down now to a forward P of 16. It's getting interesting here. So I like the call from Wells Fargo. I'm not a big fan of buying and calling the actual bottom. That's what you're doing on GNRC because it made a new low of the move yesterday. But if you can get some stabilization, start perking up a little bit here. Generac is pretty cheap, and you know what? Next hurricane season, which is a long ways away. The seasonality trade for Generac, let's be honest, is August to November. And we just came out of November. So seasonality is not in Generac's favor, but valuation is starting to be.
You did have a buyer at 140 back in November, and that that was a nice rally off that to 170. The buyer 140 is not there right now, but the last month's low 137.60. This low 134.80. Last month's 137.60. I think I'm not chasing it up here, nor shorting it. Is there going to be a substantial buyer between 135 and 140? That's what I would look at over the next call. I don't think you need to chase it on this upgrade, but you need this kind of formation, I think, before. Just not one low and one price and one upgrade. I mean, unless it's like the world's most influential analyst. But I think you got some time here based on the monthly charts. If you want to be long, Generac. I got one. I liked it. It worked. I'm not complaining.
Before we go, we're going to go to Hive here in a second. But one more comment on Generac is the home builders. The home builders have not been doing great. So true. Generac, and I know I just built a home. And what do you do when you build a home? You stick a Generac with it. So you definitely have as home builders, new homes are getting built. There a lot of them newer ones, the higher end ones especially, getting built with Generacs. So when you see home builders not doing as good, that is not great news for Generac either. So they are tied in with the home builder trade. Don't kid yourself. So the hurricane trade is with Generac, but the home builders are there as well. And home builders have been struggling here in the last month. And it's not surprising that Generac is struggling too. Let's go over to Hive.
All right, let me get the banner up here. There it is. Did I click it? Yeah. Oh, here. Hive Digital Technologies, our sponsor for pre-market prep, industry-leading expertise in building, maintaining, and operating efficient digital infrastructure, geographically diversified operations situated in politically stable jurisdictions like Canada, Sweden, Paraguay, with access to low-cost renewable energy, significantly expanding global footprint with a path to 25 exahash per second and aiming to capture 3% of the world's Bitcoin production by the end of this year. Only a couple weeks away, folks. There is a QR code in the bottom right corner of your screen right now. You can scan that to get over to Hive's website, hivedigitaltechnologies.com. You can also click the description for this YouTube video. There's a link in there if you want to learn more about Hive. Thanks again to our wonderful sponsor, Hive Digital Technologies.
And Hive, Down at
Yeah,
the
okay.
200-day, just hanging out, trading up 9 cents. If you're a 200-day moving average buyer, that's where you're at. Shout out to, I think, JV and Triple D in the STN room last night. Of course, I was looking at the futures. They were looking at the IBIT, and they're like, uh-oh, there's a buyer. Bitcoin moving up. I'm like, no, 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 I don't see the futures moving. Lo and behold, IBIT, very liquid instrument, leads it up. We set a trade up here, leading on the low of the move.
Yeah.
Bitcoin trying to pop here, and I think it's up another 50 cents from when you guys scoped it out
It's
last
up
night.
over $1 from where
It's
that
over
was.
$1.
Yeah, it was only up 50 cents when we were talking about the buyer. It's about $1.50 from where we were talking about it. And we set this trade up again. I said, if you want to do it for the third time, you've got another shot here because we've been talking about the IBIT, and I love trading it because it's so liquid. IBIT, I believe, is the best one to trade. 46.60 at the low. We set this trade up for you back on December the 1st, and obviously, it bounced back from there. It's come all the way back down to that level. So you've got support. It's clearly well defined. You've got buyers in the 46, 47 area. So until support is broken, that's the buy zone. And it's worked again here because we're popping up. You could be just grabbing 3-4 percenters and grabbing 3-4 percenters multiple times here now on IBIT. If it breaches that level, that's probably where you get out. But I still think, and I'm going to stick with that thesis, is that this period that we are going into next week is a seasonally very strong period for stocks. So they like to front run the Santa Claus rally. Santa Claus rally obviously starts or is the last 5 days and the first 2 days of January, last 5 days of December. But they like to get ahead of it. So I would not be surprised if this market starts to buy some of these names here. And Bitcoin is in there too. It's a risk asset. The crypto people say it has nothing to do with the stock market. That was the case from 2010 to like 2020. But now Bitcoin is absolutely linked in with NASDAQ stocks. It moves. It's a risk asset. It's seen that. It moves along with them. Sometimes leads them as well. So I'm still like, in the buy camp here, buy dips on, because the seasonality playing in here. So I kind of like Bitcoin down, although I wouldn't chase it when it's up 4%.
All right, that's a good look at Bitcoin. It's kind of been in a range, kind of like the market too. But just looking at the futures there. I mean, there's buyers at 85 here, defending the low of the move.
So jump back over. We're going to move, and we're going to talk the rebalance stuff here in a second as well. Well, maybe we should just do that now because we only got 7 minutes left. So let's go back into imbalances. And imbalances are really going to move stocks even this morning. Bank of America, I'll give you a few highlights here. Bank of America, 800,000 to buy. I mean, there's some big ones. We got, Lilly, 72,000 to sell. That's a huge sell imbalance for a $1,000 stock. Now, it doesn't mean these are necessarily going to open down. It's just showing there's big institutional players in here this morning. Typically, when I look at imbalances in the morning, I don't see much. You see a 20,000, a 10,000, maybe a 50,000 stands out like a sore thumb. Not on the third Friday and not, going into a quarterly rebalance. You're seeing institutions getting their orders in there early. Now, when you see, that NEE has 1.9 million to buy, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to open higher. It just means at this time, if it was to open right now at 854, it would open significantly higher. But there may be another institution just comes in and says, you got them. I need to sell 1 million. Here you go. And that can, kill off the imbalance relatively quickly. So there is, some big numbers. There's going to be some opens that are going to be away from fair value. Fair value is just simply where a stock should be trading relative to the S&P, absent of news. That's all it really is. So, you can calculate and say, well, S&Ps are up 0.18%. My stock's got, basically, a higher beta, should be up 0.3, 0.4%, you could say. So a lot of times on these option expiration days, you get stocks opening significantly away from fair value. It can offer an opportunity. This is the best day to employ the old classic Don Bright strategy, which he called the opening envelope strategy, where he'd be up, be basically stocks here, you'd be putting buys here, sells here. That's the envelope we're talking about. And, trying to take advantage of an inefficient open where a stock opens too high or too low.
And the one thing about just going off these imbalances per se when they're out this early is they do flip. So there's a lot of anticipate, like we had the Bank of America. Which one do you think's the biggest one that you gave relative to the volume, Dennis? Because 800,000.
Oh, there's some NEE.
Okay.
Probably 1.9 million to buy is huge. You know, the stock that's more than the volume it typically trades in a day. So I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking about a
Wow.
huge buy imbalance in there. That one stands out. And remember, we're going to get Nasdaq at 925. So I'm only giving you New York right now, and they could bounce around. I mean,
Whew.
Exxon Mobil is 900,000 to sell. ConocoPhillips 400,000 to sell. I mean, they're all big. But again, take these numbers. You can't just say, "Oh, it's got a big buy imbalance. I'm going to buy it now, and it's probably going to open higher," because there's so much institutional action that's going to come in. These numbers could change. The way I approach it again is more of the Don Bright strategy. I put some shorts up here, some buys down here, basically enveloping where I feel or where pricing should be for it. And if the stock opens too high, I get short. If the stock opens too low, I get long. That's how I kind of do it. You want to
Okay.
talk BMNR with Ethereum here too?
Yeah, you might as
Sure.
well. We're on the
Yeah,
subject.
so same story. Bitcoin, Ethereum been moving perfectly together. You could set up the same Ethereum trade probably on I don't know, ETHE is how I trade Ethereum. So if you're in Ethereum, it's a pretty good vehicle here. But you can set up the same trade. I mean, the ETHE chart and the BIC and the IBIT chart look virtually the same. We had a low on ETHE at 2196. We retested that low on December the 1st, same day, 2232, bounced out of there. Now we've come back down to that area to retest again. Well, support is support until it's broken, and this has been a great level. Think about Lululemon. How many times the 160 held in Lululemon? So if we go back to that chart, Joel, Lululemon's bottom held back in September, back in October, in November, like 5-6 times. He'd probably bottom there in the 160 like 6-7 times. Eventually came out of it. So, they say there's no such thing as a triple bottom, but I will tell you, when you get past triple bottom stage, sometimes they go 4, 5, 6, 7. In the case of, remember, I did that GE trade once back, in 1999, 2013 times off the same level. So, I mean, once it works for you once, twice, 3 times, you might as well just keep doing it until it stops working. So I would say we keep buying Bitcoin, IBIT, ETHE down in that area until it stops working. How do you know when it stops working? When it gaps down through that price. So Lululemon, if you would have just kept buying off the 160 and flipping out, you'd probably be flipped out by now with that 215, but you'd be making some money there. You got Fold up there, merger, Brentster, talk to me.
Sure. Pull it up here just one sec. So a little bit earlier this morning, Amicus going to be purchased. That's ticker Fold by Biomarin, ticker BMRN. $4.8 billion deal. It is an all-cash deal. Biomarin to acquire Amicus at $14.50 per share in all cash. Fold shares were halted ahead of this news. They have since resumed trade. Joel, what do you think about the charts here? Maybe Biomarin is a little easier for you to do the technicals on than which is
Yeah.
being acquired.
Biomarin.
BM,
BMN. I get the
BMRN, Bravo Mike Romeo November. There it is.
I mean, they like the deal. The street likes the deal. I mean, usually you see the acquire, go down, but that's not the case here. So let's see if that holds up. Maybe it's not a big deal popping up over the 200-day average here. Nice little pop. They have to look at the synergies here, but so far the street is liking the deal for Biomarin, and if they've been holding the fold for this, well, it's up near that expected price. So I don't know if it's worth holding on for that other 40 cents. We could do that. Going into next week, our holiday shortened week, we got just a tremendous group of guests coming on for us. We're going to talk to some analysts here at the end of the year. We're going to talk on Monday to Ivan Feinseth, Tigers Financial Group. And then back-to-back days, who has Craig Johnson on Tuesday, December 23rd, followed by Ryan Dietrich. I'm not sure if I will be on for that interview or not, but Ryan Dietrich will be on Christmas Eve day. We're giving you all the day off on the 25th, and then we're going to round out the week on Friday with Ryan Craver. Ryan,
You know what else? Trump tried to give us the day off on the 24th and the 26th.
I saw it.
But NYSE and the exchanges rejected it. So Trump requested the exchanges closed, I believe, the 24th and 26th, which they'd never done before. And the Trumpster the exchanges said, nope, we are opening. So 24th and 26th is still a go.
Rats.
You wanted the day off. I'm like, yes, because I don't like the day off there.
Yeah, you're a hardcore trader. That's why, Dennis.
I am.
We are going to jump over to the STN room here in just a sec, folks. A heads up, we'll be having live trading with Money Mitch around market open time. That's always fun. I think we got Chris Bretcher scheduled for a little bit later this morning, 11 a.m. And we're hopefully CC will get his power back by later today because he is scheduled to be on in the STN room around 1:30 p.m. We'll see how it goes a little bit later, folks.
All right, Bradster, great to have you back in the driver's seat. We made it through the 3 weeks with you, and we are going to finish this year strong, folks. So good luck on this expiration Friday. Back with you bright and early on Monday